Has it really gotten so bad that we're really out here cheering for people's death like it's a sport? Like, is that really where we are in society? We live in a crazy time where people openly mock and cheer for the demise of people that they disagree with, right? They think it's okay to celebrate the downfall of others who might have a different worldview than them. Even some people who claim to be Christian have adopted this mindset, which is, in my opinion, the craziest part of it all. But I believe the culture, and yes, even some Christians behave this way because they're hurt, they're unknowingly radicalized, and they're lacking spiritual understanding. We all know the saying and know it to be true. Hurt people hurt people. When people feel like they've been wronged or treated unfairly, they typically want whoever they think caused their pain to feel their pain, right? Everybody in society, in one way or another, has reason to believe they're being oppressed or treated unjustly. And naturally, they're all on a mission, to make the rest of the world pay for it. Most of the time when people do and say nasty things, it's because they've had nasty things said and done to them, right? We interact with a million people, a million different people a day, right? We cross paths with tons of different people each day, and we have no clue, absolutely no idea what they're dealing with in their life. Even if you think somebody has it easy, the truth is everybody is dealing with some form of struggle. Everybody, right? Whether it's physical, financial, mental, spiritual, something, right? And in our culture, we've been conditioned to believe that, whenever we face discomfort, someone else has to be blamed for it. We gotta blame somebody else. Collectively, we've accepted the idea that inflicting pain on our opponents will somehow make us feel better, right? A lot of times, people feel like, they may or may not be able to change the world or change their personal circumstances. So in their eyes, the next best thing is to just take all their anger and frustration out on their perceived enemies, right? The truth of the matter is we live in a fallen world, right? We live in a fallen world ravished by sin, and people are in despair, truly. But hating and hurting other people will not heal you. It's not going to do it. If you're looking to get healed, if you're really searching for healing, you got to go to the healer, Jesus Christ. He is the healer. Without him, this world don't even make sense, right? And the reality is people are experiencing that hopelessness and they don't know what to do with it because they don't have Christ. They don't have a relationship with him. And, the mental anguish of trying to navigate this life apart from God will inevitably lead you right into all kinds of, nonsensical ideologies. A large portion of people in our culture have slowly but surely become extremists. And They don't even realize it. So many extreme opinions and behaviors have pretty much become mainstream and popular, and they become so popular that people think they're actually normal. These days, literally everybody has a platform, and everyone is a content creator slash influencer, and they all want to make a name for themselves, every last one of them. But because it's so crowded in the space, it's hard to make your voice and opinion cut through all the noise. So people are adopting and promoting the most extreme opinions in order to be heard, right? And logic and rationality is not very entertaining these days. Like, that doesn't generate clicks and views. So people are saying and doing whatever they think will bring traffic to their platforms, and a lot of times that's hate and vitriol. Like, that's what does the trick most of the time. So the culture is being inundated with short clips of other people's beliefs and opinions with very little to no context. And people are readily accepting all sorts of rhetoric without actually being informed about these topics. And I think it's leading society down a dangerous path. I personally know from experience that it's easy to fall for propaganda when you're leaning on your own understanding, right? I'm of the belief that people are being so easily misled and negatively influenced by the culture because they don't have knowledge of God, right? When the word of God isn't your ultimate authority, then the culture, which is flawed and corrupted, dictates what you should think and do, right? That's what we're seeing play out. But because people don't know Jesus, they're just going wherever the wind blows, right? They don't know the meaning of life and don't know their purpose on earth. So they're just out here following the crowd, right? It's monkey see, monkey do. If a behavior or ideology gains enough steam, whether it's good or bad, people start blindly jumping on the bandwagon. And that's how people end up being radicalized without even knowing it. But when the word of God is your authority, it doesn't matter what the crowd is doing. You stand firm on his word and trust in him. You don't feel compelled to think and do what everyone is doing, right? Because you know where that leads. As Christians, we all know where that leads. Jesus said in Matthew 7, enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it, right? Our culture is full of hatred right now, and it's extremely popular. People are wishing ill on each other and celebrating the killing of people that they disagree with. But as Christians, we know that thinking and that type of behavior is not pleasing to God and ultimately leads to hell, right? So we need to choose whether we're following the culture or following Christ. At the end of the day, the culture is badly misguiding people, young and old. And if we want to see change, we need to turn to Christ. That goes for all of us, right? We need to follow his word and do it truly and humbly. You know, we can't keep taking our pain out on other people. Eventually, we got to heal. And Christ is the only way to do that. I'm sorry. You know, also, we got to understand that it's okay to land somewhere in the middle on most of these topics, right? Not everything is so black and white, right? So there's rarely a need to be so extreme. The truth is that the word of God is truth, right? So if we're going to stand firm and stand boldly on anything, it should be on the truth of the gospel. You know, so instead of hoping for the worst for your opponents, put your hope in Christ.